I don't know if I ever told you a story about the groundhog.
I don't know.
She had this groundhog that stayed in her, it burrowed in her yard all the time. And it knocked the vents out in the foundation and would crawl up in there and sleep. And they'd have to chase him out and try to put the vents back in. Well, I was there visiting and I was driving around the driveway and I backed up and I went in the house and I said, Mama, that groundhog's sitting out there in the orchard eating your pears. Should we call Jimmy? And she said, I got a gun. She went to the refrigerator and whipped that gun down off the refrigerator and out the door she went. And I said, do you know how to use it? And I said, I never have before, but I'm supposed to try. So she got almost around and she caught her toe on a tree root and fell flat of her face on the gravel driveway. Her nose was skinned up and bleeding. And I took her back in the house and patched her up a little bit. And she said, give me that rag. And she took that wet rag out there on her nose and she was going after that groundhog. Well, when he saw us coming, he ran up in that pipe that went under the driveway. And, on the upper side, there was a metal grate that covered it. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'm going to call Jimmy. So I called Jimmy and told him what was going on. So he came down there and he looked up in there and the groundhog was about halfway up the pipe. This was a joke on Jimmy more than Mama. So he said, I can't reach it. And I'm afraid to shoot up in there. I'm afraid it'll ricochet and come back and hit me. So he said, I'll just build a fire down here and smoke him out.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, the wind was blowing that way, and he built the fire at the bottom side of the pipe, so the wind was blowing the smoke away.
Oh, my gosh.
And it didn't do anything. So he said, I'll go get the air compressor, and we'll blow the smoke up in there. So we got the air compressor, started trying to blow the smoke up in there, and that didn't get him out. So I said, you just need a long pole and poke him. Well, by that time, Toby was there, and he had taken the grate off of the pipe and had the trap sitting over it. And so Jimmy said, I don't have a pole that long. I said, there's a long piece of PVC pipe laying up there next to the house. It wasn't quite long enough. So he said, I don't have any fittings, but if I had a fitting, I could put two together. He said, I know what I'll do. I'll heat one on the fire that I just built to smoke him out. So he heated this, but while he was heating it, the groundhog decided to try to escape, and he came running out, and Jimmy was squatting down there next to that fire, and that groundhog got there, and Jimmy looked in, and they both went, ah! And the groundhog ran back in, and Jimmy flipped over on his back. He got up and heated the pipe and stuck the two together, poked it up in there, and got the groundhog to run up into the cage, and they trapped it. So he put it on the back of the four-wheeler. Now, Steve, lived right up the road, and he had 5 groundhogs just tearing his garden apart, and he'd killed all of those. So Jimmy put it on and Jimmy likes to play a prank on anybody. So he put it on the back of the four-wheeler. And I said, what are you going to do with it? He said, I'm going to take it up there and give it to Steve as a present. He took the groundhog up there and said, Steve, I brought you something. Steve came out in the yard, saw that groundhog. He said, I thought you might need another groundhog. And he said, and just went on back in the house. So I guess he eventually killed it.
I don't know.
Because it was eating. It was just ruining Mama's garden. And you know how Mama was about her garden.
Yes, that was her pride and joy. Mm-hmm. It was.
Nobody could work in the garden and do it right but her.